Another area of engineering that can be performed with the Progressive Die Wizard, if I go back to my presentation here, is in the actual manufacturing process itself and defining how the individual forming operations are done step by step in the process. So we have a means for taking the finished part and working backwards, or actually you can also take a flat part and work forwards and defining a sequence of steps or stages that a part would have to go through in order to be manufactured. And the good thing about all of this is that it's completely associative. So as we make some changes or introduce operations at different stages, those operations will propagate to all of the following, all the subsequent stages, so that each change is done just once, and then it automatically gets carried through to the remaining steps in the process. So I can also show you how that's done. So let me switch to a clean part. Let's go to this one here. All right, so again, this part happens to be a non-native NX part. It's been imported from another system. So going into the Progressive Die Wizard, we got some forming tools that we can use to define these stages of the model. And in order to do that, we need to recognize some bends. So we're going to use a tool here to convert NX to sheet metal and identify all the bends just simply by doing a search. So I'm going to go here and select the main face of the model and click apply. NX is going to take a look at the model and define all of the bends that it sees based on analyzing the material thickness, offset faces, and things like that. It does geometry evaluation. You see all the different bends that get defined for this part. So that is something that is going to be very helpful for me to be able to define the different stages. So let's go ahead and lay this thing out. So we've got this part, and we're going to try to envision how this thing is going to be manufactured. So we've got a number of flanges here that are bent twice. So we might have two different stages for those. They're on four sides of the part, so let's kind of double that, maybe 4 stages. We've got some punch features, some internal flanges. So let's see, we've got up to 5, 6. Some internal, you see some cutouts, raised shapes here, 7, 8. So let's go with 8 stages. I'm out on this nice clean appearance to make it easy to navigate back and forth. So let me add some spacing in here and lay this out. So NX is going to automatically link multiple copies together. Let me define how this shape is going to be formed. So you see I start from the finished part and go backwards. If I take a look at my assembly navigator, I've got several individual stage, what we call stage models, that represent maybe the final forming, final -1, -2, all the way back to the what should be the flattened part. So I'm going to start working with this. So let me go back to this this stage here. So prior to finishing off the part, we've got a couple bends that we might want to define. So let me select a couple here and lay this one flat. And as you'll see on the screen, as I define these forming operations, all of the preceding stages will also automatically update to represent that shape. So let me put 2 of these on the screen together so you can see what's happening. Lay that flange down, click apply. And you'll see that all of the preceding stages will represent that same shape. So let me go to the next stage. So let's say in the next stage, we've got these flanges on the ends that need to be formed. So there's one on the right side, and we'll do one on the left side here. And continue to work our way backwards. So let's select the next stage here. And we've got some internal flanges that we might want to form in this stage. So let's go back and select one of these. And grab another one here. Oops. Now, when this happens, NX, of course, has two ways to unbend something. So there's a button that allows us to switch from one orientation to another. So I'll just flip it this way. All right, so now we've already worked our way back to a flattened shape where these flanges first get formed and the internal flanges are done. So let's take a look at what we have next here in this stage are the flanges on the ends that have these beads that are formed. So there's not really technically any unforming that's involved, or I'm sorry, unbending that's involved with the forming of those beads. So we're going to use some standard modeling tools to represent this in a flattened shape. So all the way up to the end of the toolbar to the right, there's some generic NX tools. So these are tools that some of you might already be familiar with as a part of the normal NX modeling package. And that's really what Progressive Die Wizard does. It gives you a lot of tools that leverage functions that are available in normal NX modeling, but the tools are streamlined in an approach that really facilitates how you might want to design a progressive die. So let me go down here. I'm just going to use some synchronous modeling tools. And yeah, there we go. Sorry about all the motion going around here. So let me select some of these faces. And we'll remove some of these faces here at this stage. Let me go down to the bottom. And we'll grab these. Click OK. All right, so now we got the flattened shape there. All we do have left is a couple of flanges on the ends, as well as some internal features. So let's go back here and let's do some more bending operations. Let's see, I need to go to the next stage here. I'll make number 4 the next stage. And we will unform a couple of flanges here. Lay that out flat. Go to the next stage. Let's see. And we've got some flanges on the ends. Grab that one. Let's see. Then let's go here to the middle. Now we've got some circular bends here. So the bend operation here is mainly for straight break. We have other advanced tools that we call unforming. So there's a universal unforming tool that's available for basically flattening or unforming individual curve bends. So whoops, I forgot to, let's make this, there we go. I forgot to activate that stage. So let's go down here and from the base face, the center face of the part, we can select some of these circular faces and essentially unform them back into the flat shape. So you see that how it kind of pushes down in there again. And we'll do that for all 3 of these at once. Okay. So we're back down here, and then finally when we get towards the end, let's see, yeah, okay. We'll get towards the end, this final stage. We've got some dimples in here, and just like with the beads, these dimples are essentially drawn or punched out of that base face. So I'm just going to use synchronous modeling again, and we'll use the delete face tool here and get rid of those faces and get rid of these faces down here. Okay, so at this point we are finished with our stage models. This is where we can start to think about how we might want to define the blank, the strip that's being used for the progressive die. And at this point, we're taking a look at possibly taking this to manufacturing. And this is our forming sequence of how this part might be manufactured.